Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today I'm going to be going over my picks for the 10 best helicopters in Grand Theft Auto Online. Now the vehicles on this list are not necessarily going to be armed helicopters. They could be just a really good non-armed helicopter. They could be an armed helicopter. So in this list, we're just going to be going over the 10 best helicopters in Grand Theft Auto Online. Of course, if you guys enjoyed the video, like is of course appreciated. If not, dislike. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new. I'm going for 300,000 this year, and if we could get this video to like 5,000 likes, that'd be super sick. Just saying. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it, starting off with number 10. Now at number 10, we have the Buckingham Weaponized Canada, coming in at $3,385,000. The Weaponized Canada is a helicopter that could have really been so great. Truly, it would have maybe even been the best helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online, except it kind of fell a little short on expectations, and it does have a few issues. Its main selling point is that it is very, very good in terms of top speed and acceleration. It is the fastest helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online, and the acceleration is extremely good as well. So you can get around using it faster than any other helicopter. However, that's about where the good news ends with this helicopter. It has similar missiles, if not identical missiles, to the Buzzard attack chopper that's been in Grand Theft Auto Online since 2013, while having machine guns that do far less damage than the Buzzard's machine guns. However, it does have handling upgrades as well as armor and engine upgrades within the hangar workshop, but I'm not really sure that it's worth nearly double the price of the Buzzard, and unfortunately, despite the armor upgrade, it has no armor and takes the regular amount of damage that most civilian helicopters in GTA Online take, you can steal from like the heliport or the airport, for example. Ever since this thing got released into GTA Online, it's been a little bit of a disappointment for me, especially for that price. Coming in at like double the price of the Buzzard, it just doesn't make sense to me why they put this thing here and didn't give it at least, some pretty good armor to make up for the machine guns being trash and, for the missiles that are identical to the Buzzard that don't track very well. I just don't understand why you'd buy the Weaponized Canada over the Buzzard, but at the same time, it is probably the 10th best helicopter in the game. In my opinion, at least. I think there's some helicopters that, they're kind of arguable, but I think the Weaponized Canada does provide some value for the money. I just think it's really, really overpriced, but still it is really cool looking and it is a fun one to fly, so I can't knock it too much, and I couldn't leave it off this list. At number 9, we have the Annihilator Stealth, coming in at $2,902,500 if you have the trade price, but if you don't, it's going to run you $3,870,000. Now the Annihilator Stealth is currently the cheapest way to get into owning a vehicle that has the toggleable stealth mode ability that a few aircraft in Grand Theft Auto Online have. It is also a 6-seater, which is pretty cool, and it is also upgradable within the hangar workshop. The vehicle can be equipped with a 4-missile barrage or homing missiles mounted on the sides of the aircraft that activate when the stealth mode is turned off. And it also has regular dual miniguns that come out on these same sort of things that stick out of the side of the helicopter, kind of similar to the Akula if you're familiar with that. Now beyond that, it doesn't really have any other armament. It does, however, allow for players sitting in the back of the helicopter to rappel down from the aircraft while it's in midair as long as you are relatively close to the ground. And this is a very cool and completely unique feature as well, which is really sick to me. Unfortunately, the general performance of the Annihilator Stealth is very poor. It's not really worth buying unless you really, really want a 6-seater stealth helicopter for some reason. And another big issue with the Annihilator Stealth is that it really has no armor at all, especially in comparison to some of the other similarly priced and similarly modern helicopters of GTA Online, so keep that in mind. At number 8, we have the Valkyrie, coming in at $2,850,000 if you got the trade price. If not, it's going to run you $3,790,500. The Valkyrie is a helicopter that is only really usable if you have at least one friend, ultimately becoming very good if you have a total of like 4 players to man the vehicle. The pilot gets access to flying the helicopter, while the co-pilot, however, does get access to the grenade launching autocannon that is mounted on the front underside of the helicopter, and this will destroy most vehicles and also players in a single hit. The Valkyrie also does have miniguns mounted on either side of it that can be manned by players to make it a truly very very powerful vehicle in terms of damage output at least. Unfortunately, the armor is pretty trash on this thing. I do think it's super cool looking, and I remember when it came out I was super hyped, but then I was pretty disappointed when I found out that you couldn't really use it if you were playing by yourself. You really need a friend if you want to use this helicopter, so that is a big drawback, which is why it's been placed so low on this list. Anyway guys, that's it for the Valkyrie. On to number 7. Next up at number 7, we have the Sea Sparrow. Costing $1,815,000, the Sea Sparrow, as the name suggests, can land in water, which is cool. Now it does have the ability to be upgraded within the hangar, and it can have either fully spammable homing missiles or machine guns mounted to the underside of the vehicle. It is quite quick. Overall, it is very maneuverable, and it is quite a small helicopter, so you can get into tight spaces pretty easily, but unfortunately it lacks any degree of armor. It's still a cool helicopter, and it does have some different and pretty unique abilities, and I like it. I just don't think it's like the greatest helicopter of all time. Definitely not deserving of being higher than number 7 in my opinion at least. At number 6, we have the Cargo Bob, costing $1,790,000 with the trade price. If not, it's going to run you $2,200,000. Now the Cargo Bob is pretty much a staple of GTA Online at this point, and there's a really good chance you've flown one, and if you haven't, I'd say that I'm almost concerned. The Cargo Bob is extremely useful because of one single feature and one single feature alone: the hook. This will allow you to pick up vehicles and fly them to a destination much faster than driving, at least usually. Unless the vehicle you pick up is super heavy, you'll do just fine with the Cargo Bob, but if it is heavy, you might want to consider actually just driving it if possible. It is particularly useful for doing ammunition deliveries with the bunker business, although I always seem to forget to bring my Cargo Bob whenever I go to do one of these, so I really need to do this myself, but it does come in handy for doing things like that, as well as vehicle cargo, specific missions with that, as well as other missions where you just need to pick something up and move it a long distance. The Cargo Bob really can come in clutch, to be honest. Number 5, we got the Savage. Savage is going to cost you $1,950,000 if you have the trade price. Now if you don't, it's going to run $2,593,500. The Savage is one of the better offensively oriented helicopters in Grand Theft Auto Online. In fact, it shares the same cannon as the old pre-nerf Hydra and Laser, except it has a much shorter range. Now it does also have homing missiles and non-homing missiles as well, and it can seat 4 players in it, 2 of those being on the sides of the helicopter, and they will get access to rifles and LMGs alike. So they can shoot out of the helicopter, and that is pretty cool. Now the only real problem with Savage is the fact that it is big, slow, and very cumbersome. It feels similar to running in Call of Duty with an LMG, but you're flying a helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online. It's also super big as well, which is another thing to keep in mind. This thing is massive. You're not going to get it into many tight spaces, that's for sure. Luckily, the Savage also does have a tiny bit of armor though, so you will survive one RPG or homing missile, but unfortunately, the helicopter will fall out of the sky shortly later or get taken out by the next RPG or homing missile, so do keep this in mind. The armor is not super great on this thing. At number 4, we have the Buzzard, coming in at $1,750,000. And the Buzzard is an awesome helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online, and it has only really gotten better over the years. Initially, it was just a Pegasus vehicle that could be requested to the nearest helicopter landing pad. However, now it is storable within the hangar, and the color can be changed within the hangar workshop, which is really cool in my opinion. And of course, it can also be requested through the interaction menu under the Vehicles tab because it is a hangar personal aircraft. Now, the other thing, in my opinion, that is the best feature about the Buzzard is that once you do own it, you can spawn it in for free through the CEO menu under the CEO Vehicle tab, and it will drop pretty much at your feet, allowing you to conveniently get around quickly with a helicopter. Now it's also armed, and it does some of the best damage in the game when it comes to the dual miniguns that are on this thing. In fact, they are the best damaging machine guns in Grand Theft Auto Online. They'll shred a car in like 1 second of direct fire, which is pretty insane. It also does have homing missiles or non-homing missiles, but unfortunately the tracking is pretty poor on these, but they are good enough to take out NPCs from a distance as well as take out players that are kind of unsuspecting. Overall, the Buzzard is a super useful vehicle, and for the money, I don't really think you can go wrong with it. At number 3, we have the Sparrow, coming in at $1,815,000 plus an additional $2,200,000 for the Kasatka submarine where the Sparrow resides. Now, the Sparrow gives you the option to upgrade it with homing missiles or miniguns, similar to the Sea Sparrow, And the homing missiles are fully spammable and have pretty decent tracking, similar to most other helicopters in GTA Online, but with the Bottom Dolly Bounties DLC, it was buffed to have 50% more armor than it previously did. Now unfortunately, it's still pretty piss weak, but the armor buff is an improvement nonetheless, so I can't really knock Rockstar for trying to fix this thing's issues, especially when it comes to landing the helicopter and it becoming smoking instantly. So they definitely made an improvement. I don't know how big of an improvement it really is, but yeah, it's better for sure. At number 2, we have the FH1 Hunter, coming in at $3,100,000 to $4,123,000. This is the most well-armed helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online. It gives the pilot access to bombs as well as homing missiles, and finally a 7-missile barrage that spams out super quick, while also giving the co-pilot access to one of the most overpowered weapons in the game, the grenade launching autocannon, similar to what the Valkyrie that we talked about a little bit earlier has, but even better with a wider range of motion and a quicker response. Again, this will one-shot players and unarmored vehicles at absolutely insane ranges as well, while also being fully automatic. The helicopter is an absolute weapon itself on top of all these great weapon systems that it contains. The helicopter is also extremely fast and can also be upgraded in the hangar workshop, allowing you to change the handling, the armor upgrades, as well as the engine level, which is pretty cool. And on top of that, you can apply liveries and change the paint color of the vehicle as well, which is pretty cool. On top of this, it also comes with countermeasures to help repel incoming lock-on missiles, and it can also take some damage, thankfully. It's truly an awesome helicopter that everybody needs to own in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you don't own one of these already, you're doing something wrong and you need to change it right now. But at number 1, the best helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online is the Akula, and it's going to run you $3,375,000 if you have the trade price. Now if you don't, it's going to run you $4,500,000. The Akula is the only other helicopter in Grand Theft Auto Online that has the toggleable stealth mode capability. It can also be equipped with a 4-missile barrage or homing missile similar to the Annihilator Stealth, while also having the default machine guns that it comes with. The co-pilot weaponry though is also upgradable into a dual front-mounted minigun instead of a single minigun. Now while also being upgradable in the hangar workshop, the Akula has bombs unlike the Annihilator Stealth, and it can also take a bit of a beating from other players and NPCs alike, which is very good. Specifically, it can be hit by 2 homing missiles and it will slowly fade away and eventually die, or obviously the 3rd homing missile will actually render the Akula to be destroyed. The Akula also happens to be one of the very fastest helicopters in GTA Online, and being that you can go in and out of stealth mode, this means that you can surprise unsuspecting players pretty easily. So anyway guys, there you have it. Those are my picks for the top 10 best helicopters in Grand Theft Auto Online. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you learned something, a like is of course appreciated, if not dislike. Subscribe to my channel if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.